gyms being open are not just important for the gym owners and the businesses and the workers and the employees. It's important for people not just to go and get bulk and gains and all that stuff. It's important for their mental health as well. It's a great way to relieve stress, and during these troubled times with lockdowns and staying home, we're seeing more people die from suicides and overdoses than the virus itself. Things like gyms being open are a necessity. And last time I checked, this was America, a free country where people could choose, people should have the right to choose whether or not they feel like going to the gym and taking the risk. We have the information. Okay, there's a virus out there. You could get sick, you could die. Let me make that choice myself, whether I want to go to a gym or to a restaurant or whatever the case may be. It's my right to choose what I want to do with my life and I should be able to make that choice whether I want to risk it or not. Not de Blasio and not the government.
Number one. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Tremendous show, tremendous success.
Hello everyone, welcome to Final Takes. I'm State Assembly candidate Mark Szuszkiewicz, and I am here with a guy who is standing up to the corruption going on right now, standing up to the nonsense. Ian Smith in Bellmawr Gym. Welcome to the program, Ian.
Thank you.
Now, before we get into all the nonsense that's going on, I gotta address what everybody who's watching is thinking right now. That is an epic beard, bro. Like,
It's pretty simple. You just don't shave.
yeah, well, I mean, it's not that simple, because I did that once because I was getting ready for a role as a Viking, and when I grew my beard out, I kind of looked like I left an insane asylum or Hobo Bob or something like that.
Some good beard balm too,
Yeah.
and that's it.
There's a little bit of an art to it. So are you gonna, when you get a lot older, are you gonna be like Gandalf or something, or are you gonna maybe donate it to charity and create like 50
We'll see how long
wigs?
I can get it first. I might get attached to it if it goes in lower than my belly button.
Alright, cool. So, getting to what's going on now, I admire your courage in standing up to the system right now, because what they're doing right now is completely unfair to all the small businesses, not just gyms, but in your particular case with the gym, you know, you stayed open regardless. They put the locks on your door. They kept putting locks on your door. Then you took the hinges off, which is creative, and stayed open 24/7. And then they boarded it up, and then you kicked it down. Can you just tell us through the whole process of everything that went on?
You know, at the end of the day, Frank and I are just trying to stay in business.
Yeah.
You know, we're just trying to stand up for what we know is right, and that's the right of anybody to make a living for their family. And we're not afraid to go as far as we need to go. You know, what we're doing is peaceful protest. We're saying no, that we've had enough. You know, you guys have asked for 14 days, and when we originally reopened, that was at the 2-month mark. You know, and now we're at 163 days. You know, so it just keeps getting more absurd. You know, it's a lot of the stuff is laughable. You know, because it's crazy the extent we've had to go to, but at the same time, it's incredible that we have to go to these lengths where we're doing absurd things like putting our foot through the door, you know, and it's
Of your own business.
Yeah, exactly, of your own business, and it's funny, but it's funny because it's so stupid that it's actually kind of scary.
Yeah.
That the governor's wasting taxpayer dollars, untold amount of resources to keep us shut down, and he's gone everywhere. He's gone with the local police, he's gone with the county sheriffs, he was with the state police. He's weaponized all 3 of those against us. He's weaponized the health department against us. We have a health department shut down. Nobody's ever stepped foot inside of our building to inspect it. They just walked up in the middle of the night and slapped a sticker on the door and said, "You're shut down because of coronavirus." No evidence has ever been put forward. We've had our business license stripped. We've been fined well over $200,000 at this point. We have the threat of long-term imprisonment. We have 40 criminal charges between Frank and I. And it's absurd. It's absurd because as of today, we have just under 27,000 visits to the facility, and not one case has been reported yet. We have an extensive tracking system. We have 6,000 rapid antibody tests on demand for anybody who wants one. You know, we've gone above and beyond, and we've gone so far above and beyond what big box retailers have done that it just adds to that absurdity. You know, you slap a mask on and you can walk into Walmart and it's deemed safe. but we have a 15.
Or you could go into a restaurant with the mask on, but then you could take it off when you're eating, which makes absolutely no sense.
Hello, sir. Welcome to Chili's. Our 2 for $20. Actually, could you put your mask on? Oh, my bad. Okay, great. Let me take you to your table. Okay, here we are. You can take your mask off here, sir. But there's tons of people around here. Everybody asks that. Don't worry, sir. You're sitting at your table now. Everybody knows you can't get sick while you're eating. But if I stand up and move right here... Sir, are you trying to kill everybody in this restaurant? You need to put your What are you doing? Sir, don't you even think about... Don't know? Sir, put your... Sir, you need to put your mask on right now. What are you doing? Well, it's a good thing I was still sitting down, right? Anyways, you guys got any of those jalapeno pops?
It's a bit of the strip club down the street.
Yeah.
It's insane. So we're in it to prove just how insane it is and how insane these policies are that the people that are elected as leaders are putting forth, and they're acting more like rulers. And that's not what we do in America.
And in your situation, it's kind of a double-edged sword for you, because if you didn't open, then you wouldn't be able to reopen down the road. You'd run out of money.
And it's no small business, no big business. Show me one mega corporation that can survive without 6 months of cash flow.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing a couple of weeks where, you know, people have their nest egg or whatever the case may be, but going on several months, it gets to the point where you can't survive.
You're being told to be patient, as Governor Murphy says, be patient. You know, well, when you got $60 million in the bank, you can afford to be patient. But when you're middle class, it doesn't work like that. You know, this guy travels by helicopter, and he's telling us to be patient.
He's still getting his paycheck every week,
He still gets his paycheck, and he's got a 60 million or 600. I don't know what it is. It's millions of a nest egg. So yeah, being patient. That sounds good when you're a millionaire. When you're a hardworking middle class person, yeah, you can get through a couple of weeks. You know, we shut down like everybody did. You know, when government said, "Hey, give us 2 weeks," we said, "All right, you know, that's fair."
I mean, yeah, it sounds like something, but after that point, it's like, okay, message sent already. This is serious. There's something out there. You should be aware of the risk. Like going to the gym, you know, there's a chance you might get sick because of it, but that's a risk that I should be able to make the choice.
As an adult, absolutely.
Know what's happening. You have your waivers or whatever the case may be, or just make it common knowledge that, hey, you know, you can't hold businesses liable for coronavirus because you're well informed that it's out there, and make your own decisions how you want to live your life. If you want to stay locked up at home, then stay locked up at home. But if you want to go to the gym or whatever the case may be, it's not just you that's being affected, because gyms particularly are a big mental health aspect behind it. Going to the gym, relieving stress a healthy way as opposed to drinking or drugs like some other people do. And we're seeing the combination of suicides and overdoses
skyrocket,
surpassing COVID deaths. So, I mean, what's your take on that?
You know, all this is supposed to be about public health, right? It's in the interest of public health. But I don't think that you can have a conversation about public health until you start talking about individual health. You know, the public health doesn't exist if we don't have a foundation of individual health. And not once through any of this have these elected officials and people like Fauci, not once have they talked about what we can do to boosting our immune systems, what we should be doing on a daily basis in terms of what we eat, how we exercise, how we sleep. These are all things that play in you know, your immune system is something that can be strengthened. It's no different than any other muscle in the body. You know, it's a system of the body. All of your systems can be enhanced and sort of strengthened. You know, your cardiovascular system can be all these things. So where's the information about that when it comes to public health? Well, and it's completely absent. Their public health policy is a defensive one. It's stay inside, isolate, don't touch anything, don't look at anything, disinfect the entire world around you. You know, wear a mask, don't ask any questions about public health, and wait for a vaccine. That's not public health. Yeah. I'm sorry, it's just not. That's a defensive strategy to a world that is always going to have bacteria and viruses around. This new concept that we have to eradicate every threat to human life is absurd. You know, we live in a very tumultuous world, and viruses and bacteria have been around longer than humanity, and will be around much longer than humanity. You know, once we're done with COVID, there will be something else. There always has been. There always will be. So we need to start having a conversation about how to keep people healthy and how to encourage health among people. And a gym's one of those things. The first and most common criticism we got was, oh, you guys want your gym open so you can just work your muscles and look good. And it's like, if that's what you think the gym is about, you clearly have never been to the gym.
Yeah. I lift things up and put them down.
I'm Hans. And I'm Franz. And we want to pump you up.
Because while that might be that for some people, you don't know what that does for their mental health. And you're not taking into account all of the other people who come here for other things. People that are fighting off diabetes, people that are fighting off obesity. Obesity is the #1 underlying condition to COVID death. Heart disease, you name it. We have so many veterans who come here, police officers, nurses who work in these trauma units around here, firefighters, people in the community with just stressful jobs. They come in, this is a place where they can feel better about themselves, where they can exercise physically, where they can get stronger physically, both externally and internally, and they can improve their mental health. We've got guys in here with serious PTSD who prefer not to be medicated because they want to live a normal life. My favorite example is a guy named Joe. Comes in every morning. He's a Marine vet, 2 tours in Afghanistan, 2-time Purple Heart recipient. He's been blown up by an IED twice. This man is somebody that you are very fortunate to have on your side. He has seen and done a lot. He has been through a lot, and all he wants is a normal life. When he comes here at 7 o'clock every morning, he absolutely destroys his workouts. Nothing exists outside of that. He doesn't look at his phone. He's just in here, just getting it done. When he leaves every day at 8:30, 9 o'clock, he can go home and he can be a father to his children and he can be a husband to his wife. And without that, he turns to other things. It's either medication or alcohol. And that's a very common theme among a lot of people. You just said it. Turning to healthy outlets instead of unhealthy ones. My big question is, why was alcohol made essential from the beginning?
Yeah.
It's insane. Why it doesn't, the public health policy doesn't.
I got a lot of backlash for questioning that on social media too. It's like, how would you consider alcohol? I mean, if liquor stores are considered essential, then why isn't a bookstore, why isn't a video game store, why isn't pretty much any business at that point?
Exactly. And they use the excuse that they didn't want the ERs flooding with people detoxing. Well, they set up
You could buy beer at the grocery store though.
They set up multi-million-dollar on-site hospitals for COVID. It wouldn't have cost that much money to roll out a detox center for people. That would have been a much smaller build out, and you would have not had.
And some states didn't have it as an essential business either. So
yeah, exactly.
Ones that have governors that have a brain, apparently.
Yeah, and that's a big thing you see through all this. You see that there's just a major lack of consistency among protocol, and it seems like certain public officials in certain positions, whether they're governors, mayors, health department people, they're taking COVID and it seems very much so to be like a seize the moment kind of opportunity, and they're flexing their power and they're accumulating power and but they're not even following their own rules. You have Governor Murphy saying you can't eat indoors. If you Google Governor Murphy indoor dining, you will find 20 pictures right away of him eating indoors. Gretchen, whatever her name is, in Michigan, telling people that they can't quarantine and can't go to their summer homes. And that same weekend she made that statement, she was called at her summer home. You have these people when hair salons and stuff weren't open, they were giving their public speeches with fresh hair and fresh nails, and they're not even following their own rules. So how important are these rules, or are they just about power? Because if they were that important to follow, you would think that they would be following them as well.
We got one of the elected officials that did the similar thing to Cuomo with the nursing homes, forcing people to go back, and she allowed it as well, but she made sure she took her mother out first.
Absolutely.
So,
And it's what were you thinking when you took your mother out, and why weren't you thinking the same thing when you made that policy?
all right, so not only the financial situation for you as a business owner and other business owners, but at the same time, where are the jobs going to be if all these businesses go out of business?
Well, it's an interesting scenario because I don't think that we're fully going to understand the ramifications economically and financially of this for a long time. And the longer it goes on, the worse it's going to get. Right? 30% of small businesses are gone. Excuse me, 22% of small businesses are gone. I think that equates for in New Jersey. I forget the number, but it's a very large number, and nationwide it's even bigger. These are businesses that have closed their doors forever and are not reopening. It's a lot of economic damage. And what happens there is, one of the things about small businesses is that a small business keeps money in the community. Mom and pop's hair salon or a gym or whatever it is, a local grocer, you name it. When people spend money in that community, those people live in that community, so they wind up spending money back in the community. So it keeps money flowing through these middle class and sort of lower class communities, economically speaking. Now, as these businesses start to close their doors, the employees have to go somewhere else for work. Right? So where do they wind up going? They wind up going to Walmart. They wind up going to these bigger mega corporations, right? So, but where does the business go that was once fulfilled by these small stores? Same thing. It goes to Walmart. When your local grocer closes, you're going to go shop at Walmart. When when your local hair salon closes, you're going to a chain place. When money gets spent into those places, it doesn't return back to the community. It goes into the hands of the corporation. And it's very, very unlikely that money is going to get back to the community where it's spent. And I think that we don't really understand what that's going to do quite yet. So you're talking about jobs leaving the area and being all congregated into one place or one group of places. And then you're talking about money that's leaving the community and is going into the hands of a multi-billion dollar corporation that's not going to get returned to the community other than what these people are earning in wages. And I think that's not going to be a pretty picture. And the more it gets, the worse it's going to get. So the longer this goes on, the more businesses are going to close, and the more that money is going to get funneled out of our communities. And I think that we're going to pay a heavy price for that. When the dust settles from this.
It seems like the richer you're going to get richer, and that's about it.
Yeah, and that's not surprising. It's not surprising when you start looking at the policy and who's been able to be open from day one. Small businesses weren't open. Why? Because they didn't have lobbying groups. And they don't pay massive amounts of taxes. Why was Walmart open, but another place? Because Walmart has huge lobbying groups. You know what I mean? So they don't care. Walmart's up 102% over this quarter last year. So the business is essentially doubled. And that's indicated. Are people spending more money? No. There's less competition, and we're going to find ourselves in these monopoly situations where there's not much competition and there's not much room for small business to flourish because there's just going to be a Starbucks in every corner.
What would have happened? What would have happened had you not reopened? Would the doors have been permanently shut either way on this business?
I mean, by this time, either A, we would be completely tapped out of our personal, or we'd be in debt from our personal, contributions to the business. We would have had to take out loans, and we had, as a new small business, we were only in business for 8 months when COVID hit. So we didn't have 6 months worth of cash sitting around. Most small businesses don't have that anyway. Most big businesses don't have that. So by now we would have been either so far in debt or we would have closed our doors.
Now, you took a stand, which might motivate some people or might scare some people, because if every business did it, then what would they have done? Probably nothing.
This would be over tomorrow.
But since you were singled out and they attacked you and they obviously didn't want it to spread. People hear about all the fines that you have to pay and all the court and legal trouble, and they think to themselves, I don't want to bother with that. But at the same time, them not bothering with it is what's going to cause them to go out of business. So,
yeah. For us, it wasn't a hard choice. It was never about, from the beginning, it wasn't solely about our business. For a government to have this type of power to walk in and say, you're closed because I said so.
For what? Arresting me for what? I'm not allowed to stand up for myself? I thought this was America. Huh? Isn't this America? I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
That's a dangerous power to have. Because what's next? The next time a seasonal flu gets bad, they're going to tell us to do the same thing. The next time there's, they've effectively shut the country down for 6 months, with very little reason to do so. The measures that they took, the lockdown was shown to be ineffective. You had studies out of LA, New York, and Florida, all testing for antibodies in the middle of the lockdown, showing that the virus continued to spread to at least 5 to 10% of the population. You know, in LA County alone, that's several million. You know, so the lockdowns weren't effective. The people that are most at risk were the ones who died the most. People in long-term care facilities are most of the deaths. They're more than 50%.
I heard somewhere that average age is around 80 years old.
Yeah. So they failed to protect the one part of the population that they should have. They locked these facilities down, and then they put COVID positive patients in them. You know, not saying that none of them would have died, but if they didn't choose to do that, there would be a much lower death rate. You know, and in addition, young people, healthy people, are not dying from this disease. You know, you're not supposed to quarantine everybody. Quarantine is what you do to be sick and to the vulnerable. You don't put everybody on house arrest. It's not realistic, because the world just doesn't work like that. You can't just hit the pause button on the global economy. And you didn't achieve your goal anyway. You know, your goal was to protect the people most at risk, and you failed miserably. They make up more than 50% of the population, and they make up they make up over 50% of the deaths, and that population is only 0.6 of the actual population of the United States. That's an insane statistic. The demographic that is 0.6% of the population of the United States represents 50% of the deaths. More than 50% of the deaths in the country. That's mind-blowing. And that's an utter failure on part of them.
When you speak of the numbers, you look at it over a 99% survival rate, and even after all these numbers come out, we're still on lockdown, right?
It's because it's political at this point, and it couldn't be any more clear. You know, the people who are pushing the lockdown are the same ones that don't want Trump to get reelected. And whatever you feel about Trump, that's irrelevant. Nobody should be toying with people's lives over a presidential election. That's what votes are for. That's what the system we have is for. Is to presidents who get elected are elected by the people. There shouldn't be political influence outside of that. You know what I mean? And if that president wins, then that president wins. It's just like good ideas. You know, you pit a good idea against a bad idea and have a real conversation about it and let people talk about it. That good idea will always triumph. Same thing. If Joe Biden is supposed to be president, then he will win. If Donald Trump is supposed to be president, he will win. There shouldn't be interference on behalf of sitting politicians in order to sway an election. That's corruption at its finest.
Yeah. Destroying people's lives just to make the president look better.
Yeah, and just to further their own
even though it's
selfish
the governors
agendas.
of the governors that are the ones making the decisions on each individual city.
And it's for, at best, it's extreme selfishness for personal gains, and at worst, it's malice. You know, but the bottom line is you're negatively affecting people's lives in really, really bad ways, and you don't care.
Now we talk about how you had the courage to open, and you went above and beyond with different precautions. What would you say to other gym owners that are considering opening? What's the proper steps to do it the right way?
Do your homework. You know, Frank and I spent 7 weeks before we reopened researching the newest studies on the virus, researching CDC, WHO, every health journal that we could read. We researched as much public health mitigation policy as we could. You know, we pulled out all the stops, and it was expensive, but it works. It works pretty well. Is it a perfect system? No. Are you going to ever have a perfect system? No. But it's about risk mitigation. What can you do to minimize the risk that somebody could get infected with COVID? Because the bottom line is you're not going to be able to sterilize the whole world. You know, that's not realistic. So you put everything you can in the play. We have a contact tracing system in place. We know every single person who's been in here, when they've been here, what their temperature was, if they had any symptoms, so on and so forth. We have a touchless entry system. We have temperatures being taken. We have bottles of disinfectant for each member. We have paper towels everywhere. We've removed all hard to clean surfaces out of the gym, so things like mats, ropes, stuff like that are porous. We have a cleaning staff, or a group of volunteers who clean around the clock. We have foggers. We have atomizers. If you want to be in business, go as hard as you can. Make it impossible for somebody to walk in and shut you down. And if you need help, reach out. You know, we're more than happy to point you in the right direction. And our plan is public. You know, it's on my Instagram. It's on Facebook. You can contact us about it. We're happy to share it. That's why we did it. We put the plan out publicly because we wanted to show the world that small businesses can be responsible. We can be even more responsible than big business because we care about our customers. We know our customers. So the plan is public so that people can use it. You can adapt it to your own business, whether you're a gym, a movie theater, indoor dining, somebody else that's still shut down, or you want to implement it in your business that's already open. It isn't rocket science. It does take a lot of thought, but if you really want to be in business and you really care about people, the answers are all out there.
Definitely. One last thing, actually, you're in a long battle here. I know a group of gym owners filed a class action lawsuit. Can you tell us about that?
In New York, they filed a class action lawsuit, and apparently it worked. New Jersey hasn't done that yet. Murphy's blocked pretty much everything against him. He's got a way in the court system that allows him to pretty much operate with impunity. So we're in it for the long haul. If we get a class action lawsuit, that would be great. It's just a matter of getting that together. We've been kind of so busy fighting our own battle here that we haven't had the time to dedicate to doing that. But it's something that we should all look into because we're on day 163. We're getting really close to 6 months here.
Definitely got to fight back. I admire your courage, Ian, for everything that you're doing. You actually got national spotlight because of this, but I'm sure, Fox News and all that, for those of you that don't know, but I'm sure you would have much rather not go through the hell that you've been through these past 6 months. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah. At the end of the day, we're making a stand for our rights. We just want to be left alone. We want to be able to live our lives. We're not out to hurt anybody. We want to run our gym, and we just don't want our rights trampled on. We don't want government, the boot of government down on our neck telling us what we can and can't do. Especially when the public health crisis that they talked about is not nearly what they talked about. If we remember correctly, Dr. Fauci said 2.2 million people will be dead by summer, and here we are, and we're not even close to that. So it's time to get back to life. It's time to get back to normal living. Put the politics aside, and we just have to get through a 12-round fight to get there.
Yep. And I'm going to be doing a peaceful protest of my own. I'm going to lift in symbolic symbolism of lifting the sanctions and lifting
you want to exercise your rights.
I'm exercising my rights in a peaceful protest. But Ian, thank you very much for joining us on Final Takes. I appreciate you, and much respect to all the courage that you have standing up.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll see you next time on Final Takes, everyone.
Tremendous show, tremendous success.